Hello and welcome. In the last episode on this series on baggage clearance at Indian Customs, we had understood what are green and red channels and when to use which one. We had also understood four types of goods, that is duty free and dutiable goods, prohibited and restricted goods. We had also listed out four heads under baggage rules, that is general duty free baggage, then gold jewelry, currency and transfer of residence. In this episode, we are going to discuss all these four heads in detail, starting with general duty free baggage. For the purpose of this head, passengers have been classified into three different categories. It is also going to depend on the country from where you are arriving to India. Let us now see the classification of passengers. First, Indian residents, that is those who hold valid passport issued in India and who normally reside in India. Then, foreigners residing in India or tourists of Indian origin. Third classification, tourists of foreign origin. Before we move to the classification of country, let's quickly understand the meaning of this word tourist. A tourist is a person who is not normally resident in India, who comes to India for a period of stay up to 6 months in a 12-month period, and this stay is for legitimate non-immigrant purposes such as touring, recreation, sports, health or family reasons, study, religious pilgrimage or business. So if you satisfy these requirements, you would be considered as a tourist. Let's now see the classification of country. First, when you are coming to India from any country other than Nepal, Bhutan or Myanmar, then when you are coming from these three countries, that is Nepal, Bhutan or Myanmar. First, let us see what is it for you when you are coming from any country other than Nepal, Bhutan or Myanmar. For this purpose, I am going to consider the first two classification of passengers. That is, if you are an Indian resident or if you are a foreigner residing in India or a tourist of Indian origin coming to India from any country other than Nepal, Bhutan or Myanmar. Used personal effects would be a duty-free baggage for you. Now, what are these used personal effects? These are the things required for satisfying daily necessities of your life. There is no list of personal effects as such because it's going to vary from person to person. What is a daily necessity for you may not be a daily necessity for me. Similarly, what is a daily necessity for a tourist is going to be different from daily necessities of a person who is living in India. For the sake of understanding, common personal effects could be, say, your apparels, grooming stuff, bedding, footwear, watch, etc. Now, key thing to note here is these personal effects are going to be considered as duty-free baggage only if they are used. If these things are unused or new, then such things would not be included here. Then, travel souvenirs would be considered as duty-free baggage. Travel souvenirs could be mementos, t-shirts, piece of artwork, etc. that you get from the foreign country. Then, articles up to rupees 50k. Now, what kind of articles are included in this are not specified, but what articles are excluded has been specified. We'll shortly go through that list. So, the summary here is, if you are an Indian resident or a foreigner residing in India or a tourist of Indian origin and you're coming to India from any country other than Nepal, Bhutan or Myanmar, then used personal effects plus travel souvenirs plus articles up to 50k would be duty-free baggage for you. Let's now move to the next classification of the passenger, that is when you are a tourist of foreign origin coming to India from any country other than Nepal, Bhutan or Myanmar. Again, used personal effects and travel souvenirs would be duty-free baggage for you plus articles up to rupees 15k. Here if you notice, the limit has been reduced from 50k, that is 50, to 15k, 15k. Now let's move to the next classification of the country, that is when you come from Nepal, Bhutan or Myanmar. And this is going to apply for all three classification of passengers. Again, used personal effects and travel souvenirs would be duty-free goods, plus articles up to 15k would be considered as your duty-free baggage. Now there are two key aspects to note as far as this head is concerned. First, if you are coming to India by land route or for children up to the age of 2 years, only used personal effects would be considered as duty-free baggage. In other words, travel souvenirs and articles up to 50k or 15k would not apply. Second, if you are someone of the age 18 years or more, then in addition to all these things, you can bring with you one laptop as a duty-free baggage. Let's now see the articles which are excluded from this 50k or 15k limit as applicable. First, firearms, then cartridges of firearms exceeding 50. That means if it is up to 50, it is going to be included in this limit. Then cigarettes exceeding 100 sticks or cigars exceeding 25 or tobacco exceeding 125 gram. Then alcoholic liquor or wines in excess of 2 liter. Then we have gold or silver in any form other than ornaments. Then LED television. If you carefully observe this list, for certain articles, quantitative limit has been fixed. Say for example, let's consider alcoholic liquor in excess of 2 liter. That means if you carry with you liquor up to 2 liter, it's still going to be included in this limit. Then we have gold or silver in any form other than ornaments. That means if it is an ornament, it would be included in this limit. But when it comes to firearms and LED television, even if you bring one quantity with you, say you bring with you one LED television, even then it would not be included in this limit. In other words, you will have to pay customs duty for it. With this, we have completed the first head. Let's now move to the second head, that is gold jewelry. This rule is applicable to Indian passengers who were residing abroad for more than 1 year. If you are male, then you can carry with you gold jewelry up to rupees 50k subject to a maximum weight of 20 gram. On the other hand, if you are a female, this limit would be 100k subject to a maximum weight of 40 gram. Now one key thing to note here is, if you carry jewelry with you at the time of leaving India, ensure that you obtain export certificate from customs authorities. Now what is this export certificate? This export certificate is going to list out the jewelry that you are carrying with you. Now later when you come back to India with this jewelry, you would not be required to pay customs duty on it if you produce this export certificate. This export certificate, it is not just for your jewelry. You can get this certificate even for other high value items, so that when you get such things back, you don't have to pay customs duty again. Let's now move to the third head, that is currency. First, foreign exchange or foreign currency. There is no limits as such when it comes to carrying of foreign exchange or foreign currency, but if you carry with you foreign currency more than 5,000 US dollar or its equivalent, or if your total foreign exchange, that is your foreign currency plus traveler's check plus banknotes, if this value is more than 10,000 US dollar or its equivalent, then you have to make declaration in the customs declaration form. Then Indian currency. Carrying of Indian currency is prohibited unless you are normally residing in India, in which case you can carry with you Indian currency up to 25,000 rupees. To put it differently, if you are not normally resident in India, then you cannot carry with you Indian currency. Let's now move to the fourth head, that is transfer of residence. Let's say you are a professional or you had taken up employment in a foreign country, and later on when you decide to come back to India, this would be transfer of residence for you. Now, duty-free allowance under this rule is going to depend on the period of your stay in the foreign country. If your period of stay in the foreign country is from 3 to 6 months, then duty-free allowance would be up to 60k. If it is from 6 months to 1 year, then it would be 1 lakh. If you have stayed for 1 year during the preceding 2 years, then again 1 lakh. If your period of stay is 2 years or more, then duty-free allowance would be up to rupees 5 lakh. Now this duty-free allowance is for articles like your personal and household things. Here is the list of articles that would be considered as duty-free. You may pause the video to go through the list. With this, let's wrap up this episode. In the next episode, we are going to talk about prohibited and restricted goods. We'll see what is the maximum duty-free baggage allowance for you. We are also going to talk about the mobile phone app Atithi, which is developed by the Indian Customs Department, and see how to file customs declaration form using this app. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching.